Any futurologist that claims that they can predict the future, you should immediately ignore him or her, because it's impossible. It's multiple futures all the time. You have to be a stoic, because if you start taking things too personal and you get too emotionally involved with all the hassle that you're constantly involved with, you won't survive. Navy SEALs have this constant flow dynamic, and flow makes you 200-300% more productive, 300% more creative innovation capability, but much more important, that's also execution capability. And that's an awesome skill to have. So if you can combine those three things as an entrepreneur, you will be doing very, very well. Does the current education system prepare our children for the future? And the answer is
No.
Absolute screaming neon letters. No, 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 no.
Welcome to the Astana Times YouTube channel. Today we're going to chat with positive futurologist. Let's find out what he has to say. Well, Ron, can I call you Ron?
Of course you can call me Ron, yes.
Thank you very much for falling right into my lap, and now we're here and having a conversation. First of all, I wanted to ask you, I know you've written many books.
Yes.
But one that really stood for me, the name of the book is what we can learn from master chefs, Navy SEALs, Stoics.
Oh, Stoics.
And Navy SEALs.
Okay, yes. So Stoics, well, you know what Stoics are. They take things as they come. And if you look at entrepreneurs, you have to be a Stoic, because if you start taking things too personal and you get too emotionally involved with all the hassle that you're constantly involved with, you won't survive. So Stoic needs to be a mindset. And then what's super interesting from a Navy SEALs perspective, first of all, they're super fit. So it's healthy mind, healthy body. And the second thing is they are situationally aware, as in, and they apply breathing techniques to make the right decisions. And they work in very close teams. So much so that Navy SEALs have this constant flow dynamic, and flow makes you 200-300% more productive, 300% more creative. So it's this flow state. And what is then super interesting about master chefs is a master chef comes up with a recipe, and then he tells his staff, listen, this is what we're cooking today, and then almost instant, it needs to be top quality. So invention, execution, nearly within an hour, and then consistently the same meal needs to just be delivered. And a master chef doesn't do that. And a master chef does it every month, a new menu, and the same thing happens. So that's innovation capability, but much more important, that's also execution capability. And that's an awesome skill to have. So if you can combine those three things as an entrepreneur, you will be doing very, very well.
But I think it applies not only to entrepreneurs. I'm thinking about my profession. It's the same thing. Especially when you work in such an environment like this kind of forum, we have to think on the go, think on your feet, be very quick, communicate what you need to your team. I think communication is also very important.
I was just sitting at a panel. So students in the future are competing with robots, are competing with AI, and God knows what else is going to come down the line. So the skill set of a Stoic, the skill set of a master chef, and the skill set of a Navy SEAL will be heavily applicable. And actually, because I specialize in working with climate tech startups. So we're all trying to, because climate change is really a very big problem. And that's not only carbon, that is plastic, that is water, that is soil erosion. The list is nearly endless, but we're constantly still attacking the problem in the same way. Maybe rather than focusing on tackling climate change, we should actually really maybe put some more emphasis on education and getting people that particular type of skill set, so they can actually have the skill set to solve these type of problems. And my favorite TED Talk is Ken Robinson. Have you ever seen Ken Robinson on TED? So he asked the question, He's a very good speaker. And he asked the question, does the current education system prepare our children for the future? And the answer is?
No.
Absolute screaming neon letters. No, 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 no. And I think we really need to look at what we're doing with our education system.
You are a positive futurologist.
Yes.
What does it mean? And what kind of methodology do you use when you approach any forecast that you make about the future?
Yeah, so first of all, there's a book called Future Babble. Any futurologist that claims that they can predict the future, you should immediately ignore him or her.
Resign.
Because it's impossible. It's multiple futures all the time. And what I do, and you know what? Sometimes it really depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm super optimistic. And every now and then I have a dark day and go, you know what? And I'm in the climate space, so climate change is not a linear thing. Climate change is an exponential thing. So there's tipping points. So there's an effect that just keeps on going faster and faster. On the other side, there's all the technology that's being developed, and that's also going at a rapid speed. And so it's a question whether, from an exponential speed perspective, whether the technology curve will hit us before we're killed by climate, or after. So if we're quick enough, we will all survive. It's going to be awesome. If we're not quick enough, we're all doomed. And what I do is, so I think entrepreneurship is always about predicting the future, multiple futures. And to do that, you need to be able to frame your business into the future. So we call it future framing. And to future frame, you need to be situationally aware, which what Navy SEALs do. And situationally aware means that you need to have like a dashboard of things that you watch out for. So what I do every morning, and I do that with clients as well, I have this information dashboard. And there's just sources of information. So Google Alert is an obvious one. Mm-hmm. So if you're a startup, you just type in lots and lots of things, and you will every morning you get. But then you subscribe to. Have you heard of the Singularity University?
No.
Newsletter every day, cheers you up, no M. And MIT Review, awesome. Stanford University, awesome. There is literally, I have a list, and I'll be happy to share them with anybody that's interested. So I get a dashboard of all that cool stuff, and in the morning I wait a cup of coffee. So open the window, look at the beautiful sunshine in Spain, big smile, cup of coffee, open my, and then I follow all those alerts. And the stuff that's being developed at the moment is absolutely
mind-blowing.
Quantum computing, teleportation, immortality, longevity, hybrid computing, robotics, 3D printing, 4D printing, which is shape-shifting, name it, and it's there. And you cannot, every day you go, holy moly, and it's all science fiction becoming science fact in front of your eyes. I also read a lot of science fiction, so that projects humanity 4, 5, 10,000 years into the future. And when you see all those technologies developing, you cannot help but be optimistic, because there's so much cool stuff happening. And then you work with really cool startups. And startups by nature are optimists. So so that's the technique I use. I have a very good quality of information diet, because most people have an information diet at the level of McDonald's. Mm-hmm. So your Facebook,
fast, short,
bad. So it's rubbish in, rubbish out. So if you would be having eating McDonald's for a year, you won't be very healthy. Same with information. So if you feed yourself with good quality information, good stuff comes out, and that cheers me up now. And that's why I'm a optimist futurologist.
You said about the things that you learned that are being invented at this very moment, that it sounds very exciting and optimistic and great, but is there a place for a human being in this reality? Because many people voice this voice this concern that with robots, with all these things, what a human being is going to do. You know, what people here in Kazakhstan and post-Soviet space talk about a lot, about the soul, you know, about the feeling, about the heart.
So actually, Jair Leonard is actually talking, I think today or tomorrow. He would argue that humanity is under threat because that it's nearly a philosophical conversation to have. I don't think humanity is under threat at all, and I actually wrote an article about it, which is the question about artificial intelligence and natural intelligence. So if you understand Ayurveda, for example, Ayurveda is body intelligence. The minute you understand your body type and the type of food you need to have, your body just literally gets it, self-generates. So your body is incredibly smart. If you combine it with meditation techniques and other things, you become. So I think we're going to have lots of the mundane things we can leave to an AI, but then the spiritual stuff, the creative stuff, I think that will still be human. It's an interesting question because if you look at quantum physics, where there's this thing called the observer effect. So in quantum physics, you are the master of the universe. You create what you see. So would an AI be capable of the observer effect? That's nearly the existential question that you need to ask. But if you follow Sadhguru and a few others, I'd be optimistic. I think it's a question of economic modeling. So the current capitalist system that we're applying is bad for climate, is bad for humans, is bad. So if we're going to go super capitalistic, then humanity might be under threat. But then there is this Buddhist economics, which is a completely different type.
Can you elaborate what
Buddhist
does it mean?
economics is basically Bhutan has the National Happiness Index. So we're not just an economic unit. We're human beings. We like to express ourselves. We like to go drink with our friends. We like to eat. We like to play. We like
to be in partnership with someone. Right?
We're in love. We have children. So to express people as an economic unit in our current economic system is just wrong. So rather than measuring economic output, why would we not measure how happy we all are? So how happy is everybody in Kazakhstan? And rather than so that changes everything, okay? Because then suddenly nature is no longer just an economic tool to be plundered. Nature is something that makes people happy. So the value on nature completely changes into something that is entirely different. And I think that's where the solution is going to. We're going to express things differently. And I'll just give you an example. And if I talk too much, you can tell me to.
No, it's good. We're doing well.
There, a client of mine, we wrote a book called Healthy Place to Work.
Healthy Place to Work.
Healthy Place to Work. And it started, he used to work for a company called Great Place to Work. And that's what you put in a test and then you get a stamp and you're a great place to work. And he went, Then he heard a professor speak, and that professor wrote a book called Dying for a Paycheck. And the question the professor asked is, how many life years, as in dying earlier, does a bad employer cost? So if you work for a bad employer, how much earlier are you going to die? How many years do you think?
If it's a bad employer?
Bad employer.
15 years?
It's 10.
That's 10.
10 years. So you're better off smoking.
If we combine unhealthy eating and healthy habits, a lot of drinking, a lot of cigarettes.
But as a single factor, a bad employer is 10 years of your life. So, and he goes, what? And then 70% of all employers are deemed bad employers. So if you follow the Bertelsmann Trust Index, not many people are actually really engaged with their work. It's like living hell. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. I couldn't do that. So he went and said, listen, why don't we flip it? And why don't we create a model where people go to work and they become healthier? What's going to happen is because if you start calculating the impact of bad employers on our healthcare system, that's costing the taxpayer an enormous amount of money. So that model will also flip. So they will force companies to make sure that you're healthy and happy. So that becomes a factor in a business environment. They're going to sue, same way we sued smoking or tobacco companies for the damage they did to the lungs. They will sue people or companies that pollute, and that will flip the dial. So suddenly the economic model and the way we calculate things is going to start to change. And then you see things like the triple bottom line, you see B Corps, and what you actually, none of the startups that I work with and all of the colleagues that I work with, there is no startup anymore that is only in it for the money. Every startup that I know of always has an impact element to it, which is they want to do something good for the world, and the money is nearly the instrument to change something for the better. So I think our whole mindset is starting to shift into something entirely different.
I think it's a generational thing. I even think about myself and my conversations with my father when he was asking me why I chose this profession. Before that, I wanted to become a singer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
and he was like, that's not a real profession. How are you going to make money? You know, it's the question of having like a serious job per se.
Yeah.
And even though you cannot even tolerate being there, but the fact that it's serious, that it's respectable, that it's respected, that it pays money, and it pays not necessarily big money, but pays on time.
Yeah.
And there's stability.
Yeah.
It's such a big difference.
Yes.
Because when you said about the fact that people and startups per se, they are not only for the money. I myself always think about the job or whatever I'm doing. Of course, I need to make sure that my finances are okay, but it's very important for me to like what I'm doing, to enjoy it, and to know that there's going to be a positive impact on other people too, not only for myself or for my family or for my friends.
So so there's a book, Techno-Socialism. It's a book by Brad King. Literally says, listen, old people, including myself, we just need to get out of the way. Let the young kids run the political system. They have a completely different value system than the old people. Because they are literally not driven by money. They're driven by experience. They're driven by impact. The myth of the forever in one job is forever gone. So you will be an entrepreneur on the labor market, whatever way you go. Maybe combined with universal basic income, and suddenly things will just flip. I think old people need to get out of the way. That's probably...
Especially in terms of climate change, I think. Because I think young people understand that they have a lot to lose. If you, like you said, this curve is not gonna, end up on the side of the humanity. We're just gonna be doomed and gone forever.
But isn't it terrible what type of legacy we actually have left behind for generations to come? We should be deeply ashamed of ourselves.
Can we talk about Kazakhstan? Is it your first time coming to the country? Okay.
Yeah.
So as a positive futurist,
Yes.
what would be your, let's say, like very, very slight forecast for Kazakhstan for the next 50 years?
Holy, 50 years.
Or 10 years.
Oh, no, okay. So
you accept my challenge.
No, because I worked for the European Bank of Reconstruction, and so I've been to Kazakhstan a few times. Beautiful. And what always struck me is your location. And it's really interesting because as Europeans, we are actually more arrogant. We think that we are the center of the universe, but it's flipping, it's moving east. So location-wise, you are in a perfect spot because you are. I was literally looking at, because You're close to China, you're close to Russia, you're close to India, you're closer to the Middle East. You're literally in the hub of everywhere. So from that perspective, you could be a really nice hub of commerce. And a commerce like this is another example of that you're taking this very, very serious. I'm going to Armenia next month, same thing. And I think Europe it will become a theme park where Chinese and Indians will go on holidays, and the real economic power is going to shift towards you guys. And you have a completely different cultural and historical outlook than we do. We're still talking about the Romans, and it's irrelevant. So you have so a friend of mine. Ireland is really interesting because I'm Dutch, but I lived in Ireland, and Irish are really good at connecting with people. And Frank, a friend of mine, calls the Irish cultural middleware. You put an Irish person in an organization, and they start to connect people with each other. I think you have the same. You have the same type of capability, because I'm doing the accelerator for Central Asia at the moment. The finals are tomorrow, but you have a diaspora all over the world, because there was somebody from Taiwan or somebody in the United States. It was literally everywhere. So you could be the cultural middleware for Central Asia. And I think, from what I've seen, that is hugely possible.
What was your impression of Astana? Because Astana is like a futuristic. People say, I don't agree with it 100%, but people say that Astana looks very futuristic.
Well, I just came from the airport, so the only thing I went, okay, seemed to be lots of flats, lots of blocks, and then I drove into and I saw this beautiful mosque over there, and what looks like Blade Runner type buildings. Over there, I think so. I haven't been able to explore it, but it looks cool.
Let's come back to the science fiction books, because it's interesting point. I've read Ray Bradbury a lot, and I still do when I, need some comfort. I don't know why I'm looking for comfort in science fiction books, but I do. Fahrenheit 451, where his wife is actually wearing something similar to AirPods that we use now. Do you think there are some inventions that you're reading now that not invented yet, but will come out eventually in the next, decade?
Okay, so my favorite book at the moment is Ray Kurzweil, who wrote The Singularity is Near, and where man and machine will merge into one. And then he just finished Singularity is Nearer. And he's absolutely right. AI is the accelerator that's accelerating AR, VR, genetics, software development. You just name it. AI literally accelerates all of that. So he thinks that AI is going to accelerate nanotechnology. And he describes a world where you would inject yourself with nanobots into your brain. They would merge with your brain. And actually that technology is actually nearly, Neuralink is already there-ish. So that means that you will be able to expand your brain capacity. So you already become super intelligent. But here's the thing. You can then link those nanobots with nanobots on the outside. So imagine a nice big computer beside your bed, and you're actually connected to that. So now you can literally build your intelligence to as much as you can. So you get super, 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 super intelligence. And theoretically, if that's possible, you could upload yourself into a laptop or a machine.
And live forever.
And live forever.
Die physically.
Or you will have multiple copies of yourself doing all kinds of different.
Yeah, it's not Well, when I hear that, I'm not as excited as maybe you are.
No, I'm not excited. But it's an interesting.
It's something that.
And then the AI and the AR and VR and mixed reality, wherein we will There's no question, because even your mobile phone is actually already an extension of yourself. It's just not going to be that long when it's just going
When
to be...
it's going to be just my hand.
Yes, or it's going to be plug in your brain or something. So that technology will definitely go inward. So the minute you don't need glasses anymore and you can manipulate what you experience through other types of things, you can create alternative worlds. And then on AI on top, it's going to be super cool. So I can play Halo like being there. I'm a fan of, I actually think every entrepreneur should play games because they're so engaging, but that's where we're going. But you will be in the game. And but it also means that you can create any world you like.
And
so
then
if you don't like this world,
yeah,
then you just jump into...
There's a lot of questions with it, because then we will become very isolated. We're going to stay in our apartments. We're never going to... we still don't, we don't date as young people used to date a decade ago. And if this kind of technology will come into our life, we'll just stay in our room forever. There's going to be... the food service will be fine forever, because the deliveries should be coming.
Michio Kaku always talks about the caveman principle. Fundamentally, we're all herd animals, and everything is action and reaction. But so I don't think those things are going to. I think those worlds become shared experiences, and then the reaction to all that virtual reality stuff is that we're going to value you and me going for a nice meal with a glass of wine, or a group of friends in a vineyard with some music, dancing the night away. So I don't think it's going to be that black and white. But I'm an optimist.
I guess I'm a little bit on the pessimistic side, and more wary of the things that are happening. My last question would be about maybe your advice for young people, 35 and older, because 20-year-olds, they have a different reality. We have to deal with a lot of changes that we haven't seen before, and still know that we need to go on with our lives and face the new future. What would be your advice? Maybe some personality traits we need to enhance or develop, something like that.
Genuinely, I think you need to examine the information that you're consuming at the moment. And you then, so if you want to be, build yourself an optimistic dashboard, and you will become a little bit automatically more optimistic, because the worlds determine what you see. So you need to change the language in your neuro-linguistic programming. Meditate, breathe, but set yourself up a dashboard where you become a little bit more situationally aware of all the things that are coming. And the reason why everybody is so afraid is because it's all based on sort of half knowledge, a hint of things that might or might not, and it then becomes dark. But if you become fully situationally aware, a lot of the things that you think that are scary maybe are not as scary as you think they are. So you meditate, you breathe, you eat, you consume positive quality information, and if you do that for a month, the world will look entirely different.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed our conversation greatly.
Likewise.